Welcome in to an appropriately sounding theme song here for the Diamondbacks losing here to the Texas Rangers. Of course, this is the PHNX D-Backs podcast. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of this joint. This man next to me is your vice mayor and my thunderstick, Jesse Friedman. Diamondbacks lose the series. They get swept by the Rangers in 2 games. They lose today's game by a count of 6-1. And the Diamondbacks offense continues to look stagnant, continues to not be able to produce. And this team just is not very much fun to watch right now. Let's be honest. That's really where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, the D-backs had 9 hits. They drew 5 walks in this game, Derek. That's 14 base runners. They must have scored like 6 or 7 runs, right? Like 14 base runners. That's how that should work.
I am not in the mood for your attitude right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. The Arizona Diamondbacks have only scored 7 runs, Jesse, in their last 5 baseball games. No, I'm not in the mood for your jokes today, pal. They are now 1-26 in games where they go down by 2 runs or more at any point during the game. And it didn't feel like this one was even close, even when the Diamondbacks did seem to be able to muster up some offense, get some runners on base. Everything would fall apart for them. Ketel Marte continues to be as bad at baseball as you could imagine since his hitting streak ended. I mean, his defense is still great. Nothing taken away from him there. But Marte 0 for 4 today. And in the most hilarious moment of the entire game, he did have a walk, and when he walked, he praised the baseball gods for him finally getting on base. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at, not just with Ketel over the last couple of games, but that's where we're at with this entire offense.
I mean, even I will say Ketel's defense, for as good as it has been this season, there was a ball off the bat of Leody Taveras in the 4th inning of this game that deflected off his glove, where he kind of broke the wrong direction, sort of an odd situation there. That probably shouldn't have been a hit, but it was, led to the Rangers scoring a run in the 4th inning. But yeah, I mean, Ketel has gone 0 for 20 since the hitting streak ended, which is not great.
Like that.
He did draw that walk, as you mentioned, was able to actually get on base once in this game. But the reality is that the D-backs are just not getting any kind of slug right now. They haven't homered in any of their past 5 games. They had just 1 extra base hit in this game, and you can have all the singles and walks that you want, but it's going to be hard to push across runs if you have to get like 3 of those in the same inning in order to actually score. So, it just continues to be a brutal stretch for this Diamondbacks offense.
And I think the frustrating part about it is that, again, you had Corbin Carroll have a nice day. We're going to talk about that. But then you have Ketel Marte, who, now has gone as cold as we've seen other players on this team go. Like, at the very least, Ketel was doing it by himself. And you thought once that maybe some of these other guys could get it together, they join forces, they start making some things happen. And that's not the case right now. Jock Peterson, though, he continues to find a way to get on base. And there are some bright spots, not many for this team offensively, but there are some bright spots. They were just bad. They were just bad in the series. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They've been very bad lately. You go back to this Marlins series, the Diamondbacks came off of a series win over the Dodgers and felt like everything was trending in the positive direction. We talked about their upcoming games. We talked about the Rangers were struggling a bit. We talked about how easy that Marlins series should have been for them. They did not take care of business there, and they definitely didn't take care of business in Texas.
I mean, all I see here, Derek, is you went to Vegas on which day again?
Oh God, why do you do that? Why? No, I'm not. I'm leaving. We're not going to do this. I'm not taking the L on this one. Damon also went to Las Vegas. It wasn't just my fault.
Yeah, but Damon didn't go to Vegas until Saturday, right?
Day after, yeah. I think we won a baseball game.
Yes,
didn't we?
Yes, they did. They won. They did win that Saturday game.
See, I was gone then.
Yeah, you were gone for one win. That's fair.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Ryan Nelson, of course, he was good, but he definitely shouldn't pitch to Corey Seager. Nobody should pitch to Corey Seager right now. The man has 8 home runs in his last 8 games, and he only has 14 home runs on the season or 13 home runs on the season. That's outrageous. That's outrageous that 8 of his 13 home runs this season have come in the last 8 games. I hate this man, but
I mean, you were certainly going to pitch to him in the first inning, right? Base is empty, 1 out. Like, all right, we're going to pitch to Corey Seager, get him to ground out, right? And then in the 3rd inning, runner at third. I don't know where that came from. Runner at 3rd with 2 outs. And then that's a prime situation to put Corey Seager on. You've got first base open, so Torey Lovullo opts to put him on there, and it works out. They get Josh Smith to fly out to end that inning, and then in the bottom of the 5th, you're in a bit of a. I mean, I guess you could argue that they should have pitched around him in that situation as well. You've got a runner at first base with 2 outs in that bottom of the 5th. And Ryan Nelson, I don't know if it was a try to pitch around him situation, just get him to chase out of the zone, and if you can't, then you wind up walking him.
He didn't
but whatever the plan was,
he did not do that.
The first pitch it wasn't right down the middle, but it was middle in. It was a fastball middle in. And Corey Seager now, Derek, going back to the start of the World Series, has homered 5 times against the Diamondbacks. 4 of them have come on the first pitch. So you have to be very, very careful what you throw Corey Seager on the first pitch in particular. And obviously, Ryan Nelson did not do a good enough job of that.
It was gross. But Ryan Nelson, he did give him 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits, 4 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Corey Seager involved in quite a bit of that offense once again. And he's been incredible. I mean, honestly, it's a tip of the cap situation. I said that about yesterday. I think Brandon Pfaadt went back and watched the home run he allowed to Seager and was like, yeah, that wasn't a bad pitch.
It wasn't a terrible pitch.
You just got to tip your cap sometimes, especially like I said, when a guy goes almost down to one knee to hit a ball and then he's able to power it for a home run. But I mean, going back to the start of the World Series, this man's just been on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think Connor makes a fair point in the chat of, do you just give Seager the Barry Bonds treatment? Like, because Torey was kind of playing it by the book in this series, where if he had first base open, he was comfortable putting Seager on base. But yesterday it was 1st and 3rd, 1 out, right? When he hit the 3-run homer. That's not really like a conventional situation where you would put on even a very, very good hitter. Most managers, I think, would choose to pitch to that very, very good hitter in that situation. But given how hot Corey Seager has been lately, and how he doesn't have as much protection in this lineup as it feels like he had last year, right? You've got Josh Smith hitting behind him. Adolis Garcia hasn't really gotten going. A lot of the other hitters in this Rangers lineup haven't really gotten going at this point in the year. So, I mean, maybe you wouldn't give Seager the Barry Bonds treatment at large in general, but given like the current state of the Rangers and how insanely hot Seager is in this moment, you could make a case that that's what the Diamondbacks should have done.
Yeah, I mean that's
pretty. But
fair.
I mean you don't see the Barry Bonds treatment all that much at this point in baseball. So hindsight is definitely 2020 there.
Well, and like you said, I mean, if they were trying to pitch around him in that one instance, why not just intentionally walk him and just put him on base, right? I mean, there's no reason to pitch around Corey Seager because as we've seen, he can still reach far outside of the strike zone and hit the hell out of a baseball. So. I don't know. It just it really wasn't the big problem right now because the big problem for this team is offense and being able to put together a run, put together a crooked number inning. I mean, the Diamondbacks right now, like we said earlier, they have scored 7 runs in their last 5 games. So that kind of says it all right now. How these games have gone.
We're kind of splitting hairs here with the whole Corey Seager situation. I mean, the reality is scoring. This team just isn't scoring enough runs to actually win games. You scored 2 runs yesterday. You scored 1 run today. Even if Corey Seager hadn't hit that 2-run home run, the Diamondbacks still, with the way this game played out, did not have nearly enough offense to come back and win this game. So I don't really know where to go when it comes to talking about this offense, I mean, I guess Corbin Carroll, you feel good about the game that he had today. Maybe the beginning of a turnaround there, but Eugenio Suarez just feels like it's getting worse, not better. He just looked really lost in some of his at-bats today. A couple of strikeouts that were pretty quick. He had a pop-up on a 2-0 pitch, I believe. Just pretty brutal stuff there. And Lourdes Gurriel continues to struggle, just, not getting to his pitch, rolling over a lot of pitches. It's pretty bleak with a lot of these guys right now.
Fix it, Jesse. Fix it. Someone said that earlier. We have Ruth in our chat yelling, or not in our chat, but on Twitter yelling at us. We're not responsible for the offense right now as much as we'd like to be, nor do we really know how to fix it. We talked last night about how frustrated not only Torrey sounded after one of those losses against the Marlins, but how frustrated even Steve Berthiaume sounded on yesterday's call. Like, watching that game, it's how we all feel right now. It is frustrating to watch this team. It's frustrating because even when they get something going, today they had something cooking, and Ketel Marte hits into a double play that pretty much just took the air out of any kind of offensive role that they had going on in the moment. And I mean, it's one of those things that they haven't been able to string together enough hits for them to put up runs on the board. This has been a particularly brutal stretch. I want to say that I saw a lot of tweets talking about starting pitcher for the Rangers, Dane Dunning, like he was going out there and doing something impressive. Let's not get it twisted. I don't want to take anything away from the pitchers that are holding this team the way they are, but this is more of a Diamondbacks issue than
you can take something away from those pitchers.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is more of a Diamondbacks issue of being bad rather than those pitchers being good. So don't come out and ask why Dane Dunning is all of a sudden having a miracle game after I think he had an illness or something of the sort. It really right now is about this team collectively as a whole just being bad, especially offensively. They've just been very bad. But one encouraging sign was the fact that one guy who was not bad at baseball today, who was quite good, was Corbin Carroll. And we've learned our lesson. We're not going to declare that Corbin Carroll is back yet. But we can't wait to. But today's game was very encouraging. And Corbin Carroll is our king snake for today. Corbin went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a double. He was very, very fast on that double. And he kind of had to be, because Adolis Garcia made an incredible play to almost get him at second base. You got to watch that guy at all times. But, I mean, Corbin is just starting to look like his old self, especially when you see him doing things like stretching that single into a double with his legs. It really is like he is once again trying to create that chaos that this team was known for, and trying just to do whatever he can to apply that pressure to the opposing defense.
And his day didn't start off great, right? He did get ahead in the count against Dane Dunning in the first inning, 2-0, but then Dunning came back and struck him out on the next 3 pitches, the last of which was a 90-mile-an-hour fastball that was pretty much right down the middle. And Corbin just couldn't get to it. But yeah, he really did finish this game really well with that double, which was a good swing on a pitch kind of down and in. I believe his last hit of the game, that single late, came on a fastball that was up above the zone, which of course is a pitch that Carroll has very much struggled to get to this season. So that seems like a really positive sign there. But I agree with you that we have to tap the brakes a little bit on, declaring that Corbin Carroll is really back to the player that he was last year. We haven't seen him have a 3-hit game yet. This is the first of the season, but you'd like to see him string a few of these types of games together before you're really comfortable that Corbin is back to the player he was a year ago.
Marcus has wanted me for the last 24 hours to call the time of death on the Arizona Diamondbacks season, and I'm just not ready to do that yet, Marcus. I'm not ready for it. They still have a pulse. It's weak pulse, but we can rebuild them. We can make them stronger. And we do have some injury updates in regards to rebuilding them here shortly that we'll discuss, that hopefully is encouraging. I know most of you heard the updates from the broadcast, but we'll discuss that as well. I did want to talk about one thing, though. Even with all of this negativity, even with the lack of scoring, even with the fact they got swept by the Texas Rangers on the field, the Diamondbacks still came away with a very important W.
The most important W.
The most important W. And that's tea time. Ryan Thompson, our dog. We're Ryan's dogs. Bark, bark. Ryan Thompson is now the all-time leading scorer in the Texas Rangers visiting clubhouse Pop-A-Shot League, and we have the video to prove it. Damon, if you would.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Yeah. Woo! Let's go. The champion. Give me that. That's where I need today. Oh, this is awesome. Cross him off. Let's go.
Enjoy 5th place, Luis Guillorme.
They were the last team we had.
Oh, yeah. Short-lived reign. You'll get your picture next to it, too, man.
I still think he got higher in you, too.
Yeah, you...
He missed the last couple.
First of all, is it fair considering that he's already 80% of the way to the basketball hoop? Is that fair? You know what? I'm not going to split hairs here. Give him the win. The man takes the win. We got something. And Ollie has been incredible out of the bullpen, which how would we know? Because we feel like we haven't seen him in a month pitch. But he's also very good at Pop-A-Shot. So we got something. We take away some W.
Hey, work smarter, not harder. All right, Derek.
Hey, I've seen this man play skee ball.
I didn't see any rules posted on the wall or anything. Ryan Thompson was fully within the realm of the rules, doing what he did. Yeah, I mean, I guess that leaderboard only extends back a few years because the Rangers have not been playing at this particular facility for very long. That would at least be my guess.
That would
right?
be the guess, yeah, absolutely. But
so
it's and you know what the worst part about it is that you get to see how beautiful Arlington is from that ballpark when you're there. You can see it, and then you're going to a giant shed. But anyway, I am not gonna attack another team for having basically an airplane hangar as where they play baseball.
All I'm saying is, it's not like Ryan Thompson broke like a decades old record here, right?
It's just a few years.
I don't like
that you're doing this.
I'm just
we were picking the vibes up.
Maybe it will stand the test of time, Derek.
This
maybe
is why Ryan Thompson
he
likes
reached
me more than he likes you.
It could be. It's probably fair.
I'm just telling you. All right. Well, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Thank you, Alex. Yes, Ryan Thompson does have that dog in him. Elise, known baseball GM, who tries to refute. She sent a body double. There's a whole backstory there. But Elise, still a suspected baseball GM, says it's been a rough week. You are not wrong. You are not wrong at all. But we do thank you for being here. We thank all of you for being here. Of course, in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when we go live or whenever our wonderful shows on the network go live. Also, drop us a like. We appreciate when you do that. All of the baseball players on this team appreciate it. But who are we going to get today? Corby.
King
of course
Snake.
It's Corby. It's the King Snake. Listen to what he says. He's back to playing good baseball. So leave a like on this episode. If you are listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you're subscribed on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We appreciate that feedback. And of course, those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. BetMGM, by the way, can help make days like this much better, much more entertaining, and you could win some money even if your team doesn't win the baseball game. Of course, if you sign up now, you can use our code of PHNX. You deposit $10 into your newly created account. And when you do, you make your first wager, you can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets should your first wager lose. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. And as I've said before, right now is a great time to be a baseball fan on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. They have their MLB Grand Slam Jackpot promotion, which every weekend, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can bet $10 or more on any baseball player to hit a home run. Should they hit a grand slam, you will get your share of a grand prize of up to $50,000, a daily prize of $50,000, or a share of that prize with every other winning bettor from that day. So make sure to get down on that. Of course, sign up for the BetMGM app and use our bonus code of PHNX. Place your first sportsbook wager through the Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You will receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. We'll get it back together. I mean, we'll just have to.
We haven't been in studio together much the
We'll
last
get into
couple
the recording
weeks.
studio and we'll get this track laid down and we'll get it all figured out. We got tickets figured out for you though. If you want to go to any kind of sporting event, concert, show, doesn't matter what you're looking to go to, Game Time has you covered, especially if you're buying those tickets last minute. I've talked about it before, but I procrastinate with everything in life, and that definitely includes buying tickets to events. Usually, I expect to be given free tickets, and that rarely happens. So then I just have to go and, of course, buy tickets last minute. And Game Time has me covered. I save up to 60% off by buying last minute, and you can too. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals, and of course, it's a very aesthetically pleasing app as well. When I say that, I mean they have all sorts of wonderful options, including the option to see what your view from your seat is going to be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Mustachio Mike, thank you. I felt like at one point you were anti my mustache, which was a really weird take on a guy named Mustachio Mike, but now he is saying, don't shave the mustache. It's your superpower. I don't know.
Did you really not have a mustache before the playoffs?
I had a beard.
Oh, that's right.
Jesse doesn't.
That's
If you ask Jesse while he's watching the baseball game what color the jerseys the Diamondbacks are wearing, he won't be able to tell you.
Yeah.
But if you ask him what is Christian Walker today, he'll be like, he's 0 for 3 with a walk. He'll know instantly. It's wild what he retains and doesn't retain. But obviously, he doesn't retain what my face looked like prior to this mustache, which came around just in the postseason of last year. It was Damon's suggestion that we do the mustaches for the playoffs. And Damon also kind of has a mustache. So I feel like
I definitely have a mustache right now.
Right. Like I feel
I'll
like
tell
if
you what
I'm
happened.
shaving mine off, you also have to shave yours
I
off.
went to Vegas with a beard with the plan of we are going to switch up the vibes if we lose a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
We
And you
switched
did?
up the vibes
And you lost more money.
and we lost even more money.
Oh, yeah, that's rough. Meanwhile, I wore a luchador mask and a suit with my friend David, and then we only spoke Spanish most of the night on Friday. That's how you have a fun time in Las Vegas. But let's dig into the count from this series presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, because this is going to be another frustrating one to witness here. Diamondbacks get outscored by the Rangers in 2 games, 10-3. The Diamondbacks out-hit the Rangers 17-14. They also went 4 for 15 with runners in scoring position for a .267 batting average, which was better than the Rangers' 3 for 13 for a .231 batting average. But the real story here is the starting pitching and relief pitching ERA, because it's kind of absurd. It's kind of gross. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty big storyline with the Rangers so far this season is that their bullpen has been kind of a mess. Like, you've had Kirby Yates and David Robertson be really solid at the back end, but as we discussed yesterday, there's a lot of middle relievers in that bullpen that have not really established themselves this season. And you figured once the D-backs got the starter out of the game, they'd have the opportunity to do some damage in those middle innings before you got to the back end of the Rangers' pen. And it didn't happen for them yesterday, and it didn't happen again for them today. You had Tinoco in there for an inning and 2/3 where D-backs were not able to score against him. Jose Leclerc threw a scoreless inning. He's had a really rough season so far, despite how good he was for the Rangers in the playoffs. D-backs did get a run off Jacob Latz in the 9th inning. But yeah, again, just the moment that the starter was removed from the game, obviously the D-backs didn't do much against Dane Dunning, but they really weren't able to get much of anything going against those middle relievers either.
I mean, they didn't get much going against the Marlins, and this is another series where they absolutely made the pitching look incredible. You know, the whole thing is just a real bad time offensively for this team, and we've talked about how those good games don't carry over. Right? You would hope to see some of that go the opposite way, where when they are able to score 15 runs in a game, we maybe be able to see them have a big offensive output multiple games in a row. But we're getting the very much opposite out of that, and somehow the Diamondbacks are letting this carry over from one game to the next. It almost feels like the slumping is contagious with this team right now, with what Cattell is going through after he had that incredible hitting streak that he put together.
Yeah. Lee said, do we have a breakdown of what pitches Ryan was throwing today? Felt like he couldn't land any secondary pitches consistently, which is not a surprise. That's fair. Yeah, I was expecting to see Ryan use some changeups at least. That's a pitch we've seen him get a little bit more comfortable with in the last few weeks. At least that's what it's felt like. And he threw only 5 changeups in this game, despite the Rangers having a decent number of lefties in this lineup. It was 46% four-seamers. It was 33% cutters. And yeah, he was all right. Like, he got through 6 innings. If he pitches around Corey Seager instead of facing him in that spot, maybe he's able to get away with a better final line. But he wasn't great. I mean, he only had 9 whiffs. Just in only 11 called strikes. I wouldn't say I was particularly impressed with this outing from Ryan Nelson overall.
No, and of course we know that the Diamondbacks don't really have many other options. We know that they've turned to Blake Walston. We know that they are just to the point where, are they willing to give Christian Mena a try? Like, that seems like a bit of a stretch, but he's been really good, so it wouldn't be a surprise. It feels like they're so close to the finish line of getting some of these starting pitchers that have been injured back that they just need Ryan Nelson, much like today's game. Just give us one more inning. Just give us a little bit more. Even though you haven't been perfect, we just need to kind of get there. I don't know what kind of lift these guys returning is truly going to give to this team. But right now, I mean, if the offense continues to perform the way that they are, it really doesn't matter if Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez come back and allow 2 hits over 7 innings or 2 runs over 7 innings over a few starts. Like, the Diamondbacks aren't scoring, and they're not able to come back in these games when they get down.
One positive sign for the offense today is that they did draw 5 walks, which is something that we just haven't seen from them lately. The D-backs haven't had even 4 walks in a game since May 19th. That's 10 days ago that they reached the 4 walk mark, which is really not that many walks. I mean, on average, probably drawing about 3.5 per game or something like that for the season. Their last game with more than 4 walks was May 13th against the Cincinnati Reds. So
That's crazy.
This is the first time in more than 2 weeks that the Diamondbacks have had more than 4 walks in a game, and that's been a big part of this team's identity throughout the better parts of this season and last year as well. This is a team that doesn't strike out a lot, that draws walks. That's one of the things that they do better than a lot of other teams in the league. They don't chase pitches out of the zone quite as much as other teams do, and when they do swing, they tend to make more contact than other teams do. And we just haven't really seen that over these last couple weeks. It's been a lot of strikeouts, very few walks, obviously very few hits in general. But maybe today is a turning point where the D-backs we saw a few guys work some good at bats, and maybe that trend will continue into this weekend against the Mets.
Well, Damon and I definitely are both going to lie about drinking enough water this past weekend. We know that for sure. But the numbers, they don't lie about how much water they've drank. They also don't lie about this game. Jesse, what do you have for the numbers don't lie today?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to like it, but
oh, damn it.
I mean, that's usually been the case lately. Today's number is 498. That is the Diamondbacks team OPS over their last 5 games.
No! Get out of here! Yeah, out of how many games? Because I was screaming.
Just the last 5. Just the last 5 where they've scored just 7 runs. They're slashing 203, 251, 247 in those past 5 games. Just very few extra base hits, right? I mean, no homers, as we said before. They had 2 doubles yesterday. They had 1 double today. Outside of that, it was all singles. And as we said from the top, it's really hard to score runs when it's just single after single. You've got to find a way to string a whole bunch of those together to really get anywhere.
This is gross. We're on Twitter now. Twitter's going to make us blur this because it's not safe for work. This is not good content right now. 498 team OPS. Just shut the franchise down. Just turn the lights off. Let's just sim the rest of the season, shall we? Oh man, that's not good. That's not good. And hopefully a day off helps them out, right? But they don't have a day off because they're going directly to New York to take on the Mets.
And I was also going to say days off in recent
they don't
have
help.
not been helping at all.
D-backs
are 1-7 after off days. So maybe it's a good thing they don't have an off day before the Mets series this weekend. But yeah, right back at it tomorrow. Bit of a lengthy flight to get over to New York tonight and see what they have in store this weekend.
We're not doing a post game tomorrow. We're done. We'll go back to doing post games when they can win a baseball game, maybe. But join us here at 1:00 tomorrow because we're not doing that. But of course, we do thank you guys for being here. We also thank Circle K for being an absolute oasis in the middle of this desert. Of course, there's a Circle K near you anywhere here in this town. And if you haven't already done so, which is maybe a little foolish on your part, you should probably join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But why do I say that? Why am I so harsh about why you haven't joined the Inner Circle yet? Because do you not like free things? Do you not like saving money on gas? If you don't, then that's fine. Maybe you're wealthy. Maybe you're independently wealthy and you don't need to save money. Those people, they're cool with me. We should be friends. But for everybody else, you should definitely save some money over at Circle K. You can get any size drink for 79 cents. No matter how big it is. And again, that doesn't make much fun. I know the cups, some of those cups, the size of them, they have to be worth more than 79 cents, even unfilled. So there you're saving some money. You also save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups as being a member of the Inner Circle. And then you will save 3 cents per gallon every day after that. You can save 5 cents per gallon by becoming a premium member. You also get all sorts of coupons in the app. So join the Inner Circle for free right now and go get yourself something to drink, fill up your car. Also, right now, check out Desert Financial Credit Union. We thank them, as always, for sponsoring the count. And we also thank them for being Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union for more than 84 years. So check out Desert Financial. Their team of financial experts are committed to their members and the community, and they offer financial solutions tailored to helping real people achieve their financial goals and dreams. They got me started on my home ownership journey. They can get you started, hopefully, as well. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. Well, things aren't great, but things hopefully will be getting better for this Arizona Diamondbacks team. According to some updates from the broadcast, as well as information Jesse got from Torey Lovullo last week, Geraldo Perdomo will get into some games with the Complex League this weekend and then head out on a rehab assignment early next week. So we could see Jerry P back on this team very soon. And of course, that means that the vibes return to this team.
Yeah. I think him returning for the Padres series next Thursday through Sunday, that's probably the best possible scenario, but I don't think it's out of the question. If things go well with the Complex League this weekend, get him out into a couple of games in AAA early next week, and if all goes well, you could see him back with the D-backs in San Diego, or if not, then maybe it's the early the week following.
And that's again. Right now, we asked about a week and a half ago, maybe a little bit shorter, about the Kevin Newman situation. And what do you do with Kevin Newman, considering how hot he is? Well, Newman hasn't been that hot as of late, and Perdomo might be returning just in time to kind of give this team a nice little push and maybe give Newman some time off and resume that role as this team's everyday starter. It's not to say Kevin Newman hasn't been great for this team. He has been much better than many of the other guys that are making much more money than him. He's also been very good defensively. So he has definitely been, one of the bright spots that we talked about for this team. But lately he's struggled just like everybody else has. So it's, I guess, the question of whether or not to, re-inject Perdomo right back into the lineup is kind of becoming more clear now because Kevin Newman's kind of come back down to earth a bit.
Yeah, Perdomo's going to be the everyday shortstop. That's what Torey said during the homestand. So I would think they'd still find room for Kevin Newman to play in sort of a utility type role. I guess Blaze Alexander or Kevin Newman. Those are the two guys that You'd think that one of them would be the odd man out when you bring Perdomo back. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But getting Perdomo back is more about the vibes than anything else, right? I know Damon can attest to that.
I don't know what to say. Like, the man is magic, and even if it doesn't show up in the stats, there's just something undeniable that he brings to this team. I know we joke about it a lot. I know Damon definitely doesn't joke about it. He's very serious whenever he references
Not
it.
joking at all.
Yeah, do you hear how serious his voice is? The man, he doesn't joke about Jerry P. But in all honesty, there seems to be like at least a mental like pickup that is needed for this team. We know these are good baseball players. We know they can hit the ball. It's like they need something to kind of just change their mindset, change their attitude. I don't know what's happened with Corbin lately, but hopefully Corbin, we can see a bit more of this Corbin that we saw today, who not only was successful, but he just looked very confident and intentful in his at-bats and what he was doing out there today. Like, he really looked dialed in. He didn't look frustrated like we've seen him look at times during this slump that he's been in. Maybe we can get the other guys back, and maybe Geraldo Perdomo's mere presence can do that. Alec Thomas also could be returning soon, barring any kind of setbacks for him. They said on the broadcast that he's 10 to 12 days behind Perdomo, which is very encouraging. Yeah. And again, both of those guys, I don't know how much they're going to impact the offense themselves, considering that they weren't huge pieces of the offense when they were part of the starting lineup. It's just how their presence and them being healthy and back in the starting lineup could just help the overall mental vibes for this team. I mean, baseball is just one of those games that you can never really quantify how much someone's presence can impact it. And I mean, we joke all the time about Tommy Pham, but there was just something different that happened to this team when Tommy Pham joined it last year.
You're convinced that if the D-backs had brought back Tommy Pham, that this team is like
1,000%,
32 and 23
that
or something
right now. That is the biggest problem. That and the fact that apparently they never let the Snakes Alive guy, Jeff Gazzardo, throw out a first pitch or anything like that, but then they use Snakes Alive for the name of their documentary. You need to honor that, man. Let him throw out a first pitch or something. But we need to make things right. And I don't know how to make things right. I don't know what bad things we did to deserve this spot that we're in. But hopefully the pure wholesomeness of Geraldo Perdomo and the absolute just sex appeal of Alec Thomas returning can combine for some sort of winning formula offensively. I don't know. But they're not the only ones set to return. We might get Merrill Kelly back here pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon is
sooner than expected. Should I say that?
I don't know if I would even say sooner than expected necessarily. But Teo Mackey did report yesterday that Merrill Kelly, according to manager Torey Lovullo, is set to start a throwing program next week. And he has been down. I believe the injury happened on April 21st, I want to say. So he'll have been down for about 6 weeks. Torey has said in the past that however long a starter is down, that gives you kind of a rough estimate of how long it will take them to build back up. So if he's down for 6 weeks, then
it's going to take about 6 more weeks.
Yeah, maybe about 6 weeks starting next week. So you're looking at mid-July-ish, which is kind of what
where we thought
we figured from the beginning. Yeah, like around the All-Star break, something in that range. Haven't really gotten much more info on Eduardo Rodriguez. It doesn't seem. I know Torey said he's out to 75 feet with his throwing program, which he'd already said in LA. He said 60 feet after that, and now he's saying 75 feet again. It seems like the D-backs are just being very careful with Eduardo Rodriguez, which you can understand why they would want to do that. He did have a setback when it looked like he might not miss much time at all with this injury out of the gate. But yeah, you certainly want to be careful with that situation, and they very much have done that.
I just I understand being cautious, and I understand right now that the starting pitching isn't really the biggest of our concerns considering what's been going on at the plate. But yeah, at the same time too, like, man, I can't help but hold on to hope, despite how bad things have gone, despite the team now being what they're like 5 games below 500.
Five below 500. Yeah.
I mean, even with how bad things are have persisted for, and the fact that we are at the 1/3 point of the season, like, we still have, we still get to see this team eventually, hopefully, be 100%. And I feel like that's going to be a different team. I don't know. The only thing that's just that isn't encouraging about it is the fact that it's not like the Diamondbacks have, 7 starting players from their lineup missing right now, right? It really is just 2, and it's not like those 2 are Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, or Jock Peterson. The guys that have been doing well, the guys that really can give you some slug and consistent, offense. So hopefully hopefully those guys returning to the lineup really can have an impact, but I'm just still a little concerned.
At the end of the day, you need Corbin Carroll to kind of pick things up. You need Lourdes Gurriel to pick things up. You need Ketel to obviously find his way again. Gino Suarez to turn things around. Alec Thomas and Geraldo Perdomo. Those guys can be a lift for this team for sure, but they're not middle of the lineup type producers. Right. At least they haven't been in the past. So you're going to need some of these guys who are in the lineup every day right now to turn things around.
Well, moving on to a bit of the future, we have some updates from the Arizona Diamondbacks minor league system, and those have been a little bit more encouraging, especially when you see the way that Drew Jones is swinging the bat right now. There was, I think, a lot of concern about Drew Jones and his production, and just in general, how his process was coming, or how his progress was coming along in his development. But over the last month, he has been a much better baseball player, and right now, he is he's been putting up some good numbers.
Yeah, Drew Jones yesterday went 3 for 5 with a single, a double, and a triple. He was just a home run away from the cycle. A couple of RBI, runs scored. He walked in that game as well. He is now slashing 371, 450, 600 going back to May 17th. His 5 multi-hit games in that span. And he got off to such a brutal start that, it's taken a while for his season-long numbers to kind of tick back up. But as far as that's concerned, he's now hitting 280, 378, 424 on the season. Gets his OPS for the year just up over 800 at this point, down in single A Visalia. So, I released my my monthly prospect report a couple of days ago. If you haven't checked that out already, be sure to do so.
Absolutely.
I talked with D-backs farm director Sean Larkin, not only about Drew Jones, but a bunch of other players. And he was very excited about the progress that Jones has made. He talked to me about how Jones's direction looks better, which was something we touched on. You're starting to see him pull the ball a little bit more, which is something that he really has struggled to do early on in his pro career. Definitely some positive strides there for sure.
And of course, there are some very encouraging things from the minor league system when it comes to Adrian Del Castillo, which, as far as the season beginning, we talked about him kind of being a backup and what his role could be. And instead, what we're seeing with the Reno Aces is Del Castillo kind of develop into a real offensive threat. He went 2 for 3 in the series with a double, 1 home run, an RBI versus Brett Carey. He had the game-winning hit yesterday for the Aces, and he has hit 344, 392, 623 versus right-handed pitching this season.
Yeah, his season slash line isn't that far off from that. 326, 375, 592. He's someone who really came out of the gate hot and hasn't really stopped. Adrian Del Castillo just continues to maintain this OPS in the upper 900s. And granted, it's the PCL. It's a really hitter friendly environment. You don't necessarily know how that translates to the majors, but he clearly has taken a big step forward this year from where he's been in the past. Last year he played 37 games in AAA, had a 690 OPS to finish off his minor league season. So. Does he factor into this Diamondbacks team at some point this year? I'm not so sure, but you have to believe it's possible as he just continues to do so much damage down there in AAA.
Another guy I mentioned earlier was Cristian Mena, and when we talk about Mena, he has been the Aces pitching leader by far. He is tied for second in the Pacific Coast League in strikeouts with 59 strikeouts. Third with opponent batting average is 243. And he's fourth in ERA at 3.70. So this is a guy that the Diamondbacks just acquired in a trade with the White Sox. And he very, much has become one of the best players in their minor league system.
He really has. Yeah. I mean, putting up those numbers in the PCL is no joke. I know he wasn't quite as sharp in his start yesterday, 6 innings, 4 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. But again, in the PCL, that's still a pretty respectable line. He's pitching pretty consistently, at least fairly deep into games, 5 or 6 innings, pretty much every time out. So yeah, you have to feel good about what the D-backs have in Cristian Mena, and it seems likely that he is going to pitch for this team at some point this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in the next month. Maybe it's more of a September call-up situation, or I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But as long as Mena is putting up these kind of numbers in AAA, he's already on the 40-man roster. It makes sense for him to find his way up here at some point.
According to MLB Pipeline, Cristian Mena is 11th on the Arizona's top 30 prospects list. So, I mean, and his stock has been rising for sure. So, and Elise says, call him up, see what happens. I'm not against that one bit. There was another question, or wait, Jordan Lawler. Let's get a Jordan Lawler update. You got a Jordan Lawler update? Yeah,
Jordan Lawler it appears, let me check the transaction log here again. This is something that popped up earlier today. This is from today. Reno Aces sent shortstop Jordan Lawler on a rehab assignment to ACL D-back. So that's the complex league. And this is what Sean Larkin had also told me when I spoke with him the other day, that Lawler was going to get into some rehab games this week, and that he should be a full go coming back from that thumb injury in what would now be around a week and a half, maybe up to 2 weeks from now. I think you'll see Lawler back out at AAA. And the Diamondbacks, the timing is maybe a little unfortunate here, in that Lawler is set to return pretty much right when Geraldo Perdomo is set to return. So it doesn't really feel like there's a window for Lawler to
be called up.
Yeah, to kind of be called up as out of need for the Diamondbacks. I think they're going to get Perdomo back, and they're going to be able to let Lawler kind of take his time in AAA, which is probably the best outcome anyway. I don't think the D-backs were planning on sending Lawler down to Reno and bringing him up right away in an ideal scenario. They wanted to see him get a little more comfortable down there, show over a long period of time what he could do, and then bring him up at some point during the year when the time is right. So still feels likely that Lawler will make an impact in the big leagues at some point. Still feels like you're probably going to see him in the majors this season, but probably going to let him just stick in Reno for a while before that happens.
With the way that Gino is playing lately, and I don't mean defensively, but the way his bat has been, I mean, I could see them very much giving someone else an opportunity at third base. I don't know if they're ready to make that move yet, but I could see them, going in that route, because this team has not shied away from making those tough decisions at times. And in fact, one of the ways that they have gotten better over the last year has been making those calls to pivot to younger guys that are performing well in Reno and giving them an opportunity. So again, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I just still don't think it's very likely, considering Gino is it's such an investment that this team made in him this season for him to solve their problem at third base. And unfortunately, he just hasn't been that for them, at least offensively. Right. But
not a huge investment like trade asset wise, but
I just mean an investment financially.
Yeah. Financially, he is making a decent amount of money. They have the club option, of course, for next season, which it kind of feels like we know how that's going to go at this point. You could also, the other question that we could ask here is, should Diamondbacks give Blaze Alexander some more run at third base, as Gino is struggling?
That's a fair question.
Blaze has struggled in his own right in May. His offensive numbers have slipped. I think he's looked a little bit better defensively, although we really haven't seen him much in the field over the last few weeks.
Nor has he been getting very consistent at bats. So you don't really know until he gets consistent at bats. But we know that defense wasn't great at shortstop, and I don't know how it would be over there at third base. But again, I'm willing to take that opportunity if he was, doing things at the plate. I would like to see this team try to shake things up. They need to figure out a way to get out of this slump that they're in. Damon Ryan had a comment a little bit earlier up in the chat. He said, "Would you, Derek, consider now worse or last year's dark times worse?" And I think this is a great question, because The dark times that we're referring to, obviously, is last July and how bad things got for this team.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
And not only was it historically bad, like we were comparing the Arizona Diamondbacks during that slump to teams that didn't even exist in baseball any longer, right? Names some people had never even heard of as teams because they were from the 1800s. But
yeah, they went from, if I'm remembering correctly, they went from 16 games over 500 to 2 games under 500 in the span of 32 games, I want to say.
Correct.
And that's what was like crazy historic.
It was the fastest. Yeah, it was the fastest.
Something
run.
like that. Yeah.
Now, what I will say in comparison to this versus then was I believed in the team then, right? I thought that what we had seen in April was extremely impressive. I thought the role that they went on, the way they took care of business was something to believe in. We didn't know where this team was going to go, right? We just wanted them to make the playoffs. We just wanted them to make the next step as an organization in the right direction. We had no idea of what was to come with all the fun in the postseason. So I will say that the expectations weren't there last year like they are now. Again, you can call the expectations whatever you want to call them. They're fucking expectations. That's what they are. And they've been set by the fact that this team went as far as they did. And unfortunately in sports, that's a reality, right? When you do well and you make a championship run or make it to a championship like they did, right? You're going to have people that expect you to do it again. They're going to expect you to be able to build on that and be more successful than you were, even in that magical year where you guys somehow put it all together, right? So, I mean, the dark times during July last year, they were frustrating, they were sad, and it did very much feel like this run has felt at times, which is it's not fun to watch this team play baseball. But the offensive slump that they're in right now is just sickening to me. And it makes me start to lose hope that this team can actually get it back together this season before it's too late. Luckily, there is still plenty of time, but we don't have much time to still be saying there's plenty of time, right?
Yeah.
Like when you start getting to the All-Star break and beyond, now the front office is going to start looking at maybe being sellers at the trade deadline instead of buyers. That could vastly change things for this team. I doubt it because they just pushed their chips in at the season. So I feel like if they are at any way close to 500 around that time, that they're not going to make that call. I'm just not confident that they are going to be close to 500 when that happens. There's a lot of bad teams in baseball right now. There's a lot of bad records out there.
Especially in the National League.
So again, it's not concerning because the Diamondbacks are still somehow in it. They're still part of the pack, but if they
3.5 games out of the playoffs right now,
if they keep losing games, if they keep losing, especially the series that they should win, which I think Nate earlier blamed it on me saying that those teams were easy or that they should. I just said that they were winnable series because they're against teams that have been playing worse baseball than the Diamondbacks, especially coming off of, I guess, the moral victory of beating the Dodgers. I would have thought confidence might have been high and it might have been able to get some of these guys who are struggling at the plate to get back on track a bit more. But that's not what we saw. In fact, we saw this team actually go in quite the opposite direction after that series win over the Dodgers. So I just think that really this right now is more difficult because we had so much hope in this season and what this team could do and the way that the front office went out, made moves, the way that Ken Kendrick opened up the checkbook and spent more money than we thought this franchise was going to spend. It's hard not to be frustrated and disappointed with the way that this has gone, right? The one, I guess, hope is that when they do get to 100%, that this team is going to play better baseball. I'm confident in that when it comes to the pitching. I'm very confident about that, but I'm not so confident right now about the offense. And I think that's something that hopefully we can see them get turned around before we even see those guys start coming back. Corbin's day, very encouraging. But outside of that, there's not a lot to be encouraged about when it comes to today. In fact, Ketel Marte's like pointing up to the heavens and sigh of relief of walking. Walking is so an example of where this offense is at right now. They're just thanking the baseball gods for getting him on base. And I mean, so many of the guys right now in the lineup probably feel that way when they're able to finally break an 0 for slump and get on base somehow anyway, even with a walk.
I still go back to like, and granted that this isn't always the way injuries work. You can't just think ahead 2 months down the road and be like, oh, surely we will have all of these guys back and we will not have lost anyone in the process. That's not usually how these things work, unfortunately. But I still go back to a starting rotation of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Jordan Montgomery, Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez. If we get that for any stretch of this season, we haven't had it at all so far, right? We haven't even had Gallen, Montgomery, and Merrill Kelly make a full turn through the rotation, because right when Montgomery was ready to go, Merrill Kelly went down with injury. We haven't even seen those three together. If the Diamondbacks
sounds like you're talking about fantasy trade situations when you even bring that starting rotation up. Like, maybe if the Diamondbacks made a trade, this is what their rotation could look like. Those are guys in the organization.
Yeah, no, this is the actual starting rotation that we expected this team to have going into the year. If things go the way that you sort of hope they will over the next couple months, and Erod is able to get healthy, Merrill Kelly is able to get healthy, and you've got those five for all or at least most of the second half of the season, that team could rack up some wins, right?
Yeah.
Even if the offense is going to have to be better than it is right now, but the offense I don't think even has to be elite for the Diamondbacks to go on a nice little run with those five guys in the rotation. And again, as we said earlier, they're 5 games under 500, but they're also 3.5 games out of the playoffs. They're not at all buried, right? I guess you'd rather have a slump like this happen in May than happen in July into August, as it did last year when things felt a whole lot more dire. There's still plenty of time for this team to turn things around. They've just got to, make their move sooner than later for sure.
That's a great point, because I do have more hope in the future right now, even though it might be misplaced, rather than when I watched the Diamondbacks lose a 16 game go from 16 games above 500 to being 2 games below. That was literally like watching them let the season that had started out so wonderfully slip through their fingers, where it feels like this season still hasn't even started for them yet. It just feels like it's still early excuse, as Connor said there. Connor said something about it's getting early, or it's getting late early. Yeah, it is getting late early. It's feeling like that, because you still feel like you're saying there's time. It's a long season. There's over 100 games left, but there's not a lot of time to fix this. There's not a lot of time to get things back on track before you do start to find that you are in such a hole that it's hard to get out of that hole. And I can't help but go back to a conversation we had with Paul Sewald during spring training, where he warned us of this exact thing happening almost word for word. And I know he wasn't really projecting that was going to happen to the Diamondbacks, but he had seen it happen to the Mariners. And he was just talking about, coming off of that year of doing well and trying to build on it, and then having those expectations kind of be to a point where, it kind of, weighs down on you a bit. You find yourself behind early. The team keeps telling themselves that there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time until there is no longer plenty of time. So hopefully that doesn't happen for this team, and they can figure something out here quickly. They do start a series with the New York Mets, which Edwin Diaz was placed on the IL today by the Mets. So
I don't think Edwin Diaz even really been all that great this year.
No, he has actually been quite bad this year. But of course, that's a problem that they have to deal with. We have plenty of our own problems to deal with right now. We do thank you guys, of course, for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Previewing that series with the New York Mets, as well as discussing our power rankings and so much more. But make sure to leave a like before you leave. And of course, make sure to follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the people's producer, Damon Dog. He's barely alive, but he is alive. And you can follow him on Twitter at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are, in fact, Shane Sheep. Our show is at PHNX_D-backs. Sorry, we had to do that to you. Our show's
we were Ryan's dogs.
That was a good one.
Yeah, we're all sorts of people's things. But of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate you stopping by. We hope to see you again tomorrow. And until then, have a wonderful night. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Ryan Thompson is your all-time leading scorer in the Texas Rangers visiting clubhouse Pop-A-Shot game.
We all silly like the mayor.